The first signal came like a whisper across the void. At first, the monitors dismissed it, a faint anomaly, a blip so small it could have been cosmic noise. Yet Admiral Rexal noticed it instantly. The Imperials trained their eyes to see patterns the universe tried to hide, and this blip didn't belong. It was precise. Calculated. Wrong. Rexal's multi-lensed eyes narrowed, scanning the spectral readouts. Unknown vessel, he hissed, mandibles clicking in irritation. No registry. No sector origin. And it's moving faster than physics should allow. The words themselves felt absurd as they left him, because even he, a veteran of countless campaigns, had never seen a ship that could flout the laws of space like this. His bridge officers froze. Silence in the Empyrean command center wasn't unusual. It was a precursor to panic, but now it seemed more like fear. They had faced pirate coalitions, rogue AI war fleets, even biological leviathans from the outer clusters, yet none of that compared to this. Skin deeper, Rexal barked, claws slamming on the console, shaking the equipment. I want gravimetric, infrared, quantum resonance, everything. Pin it down, or I will personally tear the scanner apart. The junior officer at the primary console trembled. Admiral, it's ignoring all known physics. No warp signature. No gravitational wake. It's enough hesitation. Rexal snapped, the air vibrating with tension. Speak clearly. It's moving as though, the officer stuttered. As though the universe itself bends to its will. Rexal let out a low growl, a sound of both awe and irritation. He had heard rumors. Tales from other sectors that humanity had evolved beyond predictability. Humans, the so-called rebels of the old war, had vanished from Imperial records decades ago. They were weak, isolated, supposedly rebuilding quietly. Yet now, one single vessel, appearing out of nowhere, was proving all assumptions false. A warning klaxon suddenly blared. Sensors screamed that the ship had entered orbit of KRY-7, a heavily fortified mining world in the outer rim. Automated turrets roared to life, cutting tracer lines across the dark vacuum. Plasma lances ignited, streaking toward the anomaly. And then the human vessel appeared. Black as a void untouched by starlight, angular yet with a subtle organic curvature, it seemed to mock the Empire's defenses. No lights. No conventional engines. It moved with an elegance that was almost cruel, weaving effortlessly between turrets, appearing in one location only to vanish the next. Rexal's stomach coiled. It's laughing at us, he muttered under his breath. Shall we fire? One officer asked, voice tight. Rexal's eyes narrowed. Do you think I haven't tried? He gestured, and the turrets unleashed volleys of plasma. The beams scorched empty space, the human ship nowhere to be found. Moments later, it appeared directly behind the nearest cruiser, so close the captain had only time to cry out before the hull disintegrated. The humans didn't attack conventionally. They didn't even seem interested in direct destruction yet. Instead, they executed maneuvers that made Empire officers question reality itself. One moment, the vessel was overhead, the next, behind the planet, slipping through gravitational shadows as though space itself had forgotten its rules. A new blip appeared, microdrones, hundreds of them, invisible to most sensors, launched from the human ship like a swarm of predatory insects. These drones, no bigger than a fingertip, moved with uncanny coordination. As the Empire's cruisers opened fire, the drones swarmed, phasing through shields, piercing armor with microscopic disruptors. Entire squadrons were vaporized before anyone could comprehend what was happening. Rexal bared his mandibles in frustration. Impossible! He growled. This is not war, it's art, and we are the canvas. The junior officer on the left console muttered, voice trembling. Admiral, the boarding party, they... Rexal's claws slammed again. Explain! They attached to the vessel, and it just dissolved them. No casualties, no debris. Nothing. Just nothing. It's like the door never existed. Rexal's eyes widened slightly. The humans were not just fast, they were untouchable. They manipulated space, warped probability, and used technology that made even the Empire's finest fleets look like toys. But more than that, there was something in the way they moved, in the chaos they sowed, calculated mockery. Every action seemed to carry a message: you are obsolete, and you don't even know it. From the human vessel, Captain Alaric observed the Empire's chaos on his own screens. He leaned back, smirk curling over his lips. They thought we were weak. That we'd stay hidden, compliant, rebuilding our little sector. Let's remind them why they fear humans. His crew moved with fluid precision, engineers navigating maintenance conduits under sparks, gunners recalibrating microdrones, tacticians predicting Imperial moves before they even happened. Every human on that vessel was a master of improvisation, chaos, and lethal artistry. The first major salvo from the Empire missed entirely. Turrets fired in perfect formation, yet the human ship dodged, slid, and phased between lines of fire with uncanny accuracy. Then, suddenly, it unleashed another wave of microdrones, each one capable of devouring hull plating, disabling reactors, and neutralizing weapons systems without killing anyone on board. It was a terror weapon designed to humiliate, not just destroy. Rixala's multi-lensed eyes reflected the destruction. Even the most hardened officers shook, unable to comprehend what they saw. "Admiral," a senior officer whispered, These are humans. This cannot be human." "Humans," Rixal muttered, a growl vibrating from his throat. "Always underestimated. Always unpredictable. Always deadly." He looked down at the map of the battlefield, littered with destroyed ships. "Prepare contingency protocols. Evacuate civilian installations. And contact the Council. They need to see what failure looks like firsthand." The humans did not pursue immediately. They hovered at the edge of the gravity well, observing, calculating, teaching the Empire a lesson in patience, cruelty, and precision. Their silence was worse than any attack. It was a threat wrapped in mockery. Finally, a voice came over the comms from one of the surviving Empire commanders, tremulous, desperate. "Admiral, they're leaving. How can they just disappear?" "They are human," Rixal replied grimly. "And humans, they do not play by your rules. They never have." As the black vessel slipped from orbit with impossible speed, leaving twisted wreckage in its wake, Rixal's eyes burned with something he rarely allowed himself: respect and fear. Humanity had arrived. And in the vast, uncharted darkness of the galaxy, no empire, no matter how vast, could assume it would ever be safe again. And somewhere in the void, Captain Alaric and his crew laughed softly. "Phase 1 complete," he murmured. "And they'll never see Phase 2 coming." The Empire thought this was a mere raid. They had no idea it was the opening move of a war they didn't know had already begun. The void above HFY 7 shimmered with the glow of 1,000 plasma streams, yet none of them found their mark. Admiral Rixala's bridge was a hive of chaos: hissing officers, flickering consoles, and the constant hum of failing systems. The Empire's fleet had trained for this: disciplined formations, predictive algorithms, preemptive maneuvers. But the humans didn't play by any rules. "They're weaving through the defenses," shouted Commander Thrax, claws slamming against the console. "We've lost 3 cruisers in the last 30 seconds. They anticipate every move," Rixal growled, voice low, almost reverent. "Every trajectory, every blind spot. They don't fight the way we fight, they think the way we don't." On the human ship, Captain Alaric leaned casually in his chair, boots up, a grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Let's see how many more fleets think they can chase ghosts," he said, gesturing to his gunners. "And remember, if we have to destroy something, let it be memorable." The humans didn't need sheer firepower, they needed chaos, and chaos they delivered. Micro-drones launched in perfect coordination, swarming Imperial cruisers like predatory fish. Hull plating melted in seconds, reactors overloaded, and weapons systems short-circuited under invisible assaults. Imperial soldiers, trained for decades, could only watch their ships implode silently, their screams lost in the vacuum. "Why aren't they just shooting us?" a junior officer cried. Rixala's multi-lensed eyes followed the human vessel as it danced effortlessly through the orbital defenses. Because, he hissed, they are shooting. We just don't understand the bullets. The humans had turned combat into an art form. The ship appeared where sensors said it could not exist, then disappeared before missiles could intercept. Its very movement was a weapon, its unpredictability a psychological strike. Even the most advanced targeting algorithms failed to track it. One cruiser attempted a coordinated flank, calculating interception points with precise mathematics. The human ship didn't react, it predicted, it exploited and mocked. In the time it took for the Empire's fire to converge, the vessel had slipped behind them, slicing through their formation, leaving wreckage in a silent wake. Rixala's mandibles twitched. Divert all power to shields and countermeasures. Prepare boarding contingencies. Admiral, another officer muttered, voice trembling. Their ship, our boarding clamps. Exploded? Rixal snapped, already knowing the answer. They disintegrated, the officer whispered. As though the metal never existed. Alaric's ship remained almost casual in its lethality. Engineers floated past exposed conduits, recalibrating drones mid-flight. Gunners toggled microbeam emitters, neutralizing shields and cutting command circuits without killing a single crew member unnecessarily. Humanity thrived in precision. Every attack was controlled, deliberate, and humiliating for the Empire. The first major battle wave from the Empire, the pride of the Outer Rim fleets, was annihilated in minutes. The human vessel moved through them like water, leaving chaos in its wake. Imperial captains cried orders, hissing threats, cursing their own calculations, but no plan survived first contact with humans. They are untouchable, one officer yelled, panic creeping into his voice. We can't hit them. Rixal leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. Untouchable, yes. But not invincible. Observe carefully. He tapped a claw against the console, bringing up the trajectory simulations. They are playing with us. Testing us. But every pattern has a rhythm, we must find it. Alaric's smirk widened. Finding our rhythm? He muttered. You might as well try to catch smoke with your claws. Then came the Empire's desperate maneuver, a fleet jump. Ships tried to leap around the human vessel, encircle it, anticipate its next move. But humans didn't follow the predictable paths of conventional warfare. Using phased propulsion and microsingularity drives, Alaric's ship appeared simultaneously behind 3 separate cruisers, a feat impossible by Imperial understanding. Each cruiser vanished in an instant burst of plasma and nanocorrosive disruptors. Impossible! Rixal roared. They cannot occupy 3 locations at once. Humans can. His advisor whispered, a tone somewhere between awe and terror. They always can. The human ship released its next terror, adaptive decoys. Hundreds of holographic duplicates erupted from the main vessel, indistinguishable from the real one. Each decoy moved perfectly like the ship itself, forcing the Empire's fleet to fire blindly, wasting precious resources. Meanwhile, Alaric maneuvered his real ship into the command cruiser's blind spot. A single pulse from a microsingularity cannon tore the flagship apart, vaporizing the command center and leaving the fleet leader's screams silent in the void. Rixala's claws clenched. For the first time in decades, he felt something beyond anger, respect. Fear. The humans were not just warriors, they were predators, masters of space, time, and psychological warfare. A junior officer whimpered. Admiral, they're enjoying this. Rixala's eyes glinted. They always enjoy it, he admitted. Humans have a strange sense of humor, cruel, precise, and brilliant. They will never fight fair. And we will never understand why until it is too late. On the human bridge, Alaric's crew laughed softly. Engineers cheered as they disabled another cruiser's reactor. Gunners cracked jokes about Imperial tactics. Tactical officers swapped bets on which ship would implode next. Every human on that vessel was alive, efficient, and deadly, not through brute force alone, but through cunning, speed, and imagination. Phase 1 is going splendidly, Alaric murmured. Next, we escalate. Rixal slammed his claws onto a console, breathing hard. Activate countermeasures Gamma. Launch interceptor drones. Everything we have, every reserve. It was too late. The humans had anticipated it. Their ship released a secondary wave of microdrones, far more sophisticated than the first, targeting critical ship functions, reactors, shields, communications. Entire squadrons fell apart internally, systems frying silently. The Empire had firepower, but the humans had strategy. Precision strikes with surgical cruelty. One officer screamed in disbelief. Our flagship, it's gone! I can't, nothing responds. Correct, Rixal said, voice grim. It's gone. Just like the others. And soon, so will we be if we do not adapt. The humans did not pursue in a straightforward attack. They hovered, invisible, calculating, striking where the Empire expected safety. One moment they were over KRY-7's surface. The next, they were behind orbital defenses, then gone again, leaving fleets in tatters. Alaric's final act for the battle, a slow, deliberate glide past the shattered remains of the Empire's Outer Rim fleet. From the black hull of his vessel, a single message pulsed across every open channel. We are here. You are late. The Empire's officers recoiled. Every word burned like acid, a declaration that the humans were not merely raiding, they were teaching. Lessons in humility, brutality, and the limits of hubris. Rixal leaned back in his chair, mandibles tight with frustration and respect. Humans, he muttered, almost to himself. They are chaos incarnate. And we cannot contain them. The Empyrean Council had convened an emergency session, and the mood was apocalyptic. High priest commanders, warlords, and fleet admirals filled the chamber, their segmented mandibles clattering in anger and disbelief. Every report that reached them was worse than the last: fleets annihilated, planetary defenses breached, communication relays fried, and not a single human ship accounted for in any predictable location. Impossible! Rixal growled, pacing the council floor. The air shimmered with tension, and every observer could feel it. This was not just a defeat. This was a revelation. They cannot exist. No human fleet has the capacity for such destruction. And yet, they are everywhere. A young commander hesitated, eyes wide. Admiral, the humans, there is more than one. We've detected multiple energy signatures in distant systems, older, far older than any human ship recorded in our archives. Rixal stopped abruptly, his claws striking a console with enough force to shatter a sensor. Older? He hissed. Explain! They are relics, Admiral, the officer whispered. Ships that predate even the formation of the current empire. Technology beyond anything we can catalog. We assumed they had perished in the old wars, lost to time and isolation. But they survived. The council erupted in chaos. Mandibles clashed, holographic displays flickered, and arguments erupted. One warlord spat venomous accusations at another. You said the humans were a minor threat, he roared. Your calculations are garbage. Entire fleets gone in hours, and they are not a threat in the conventional sense. Rixal cut in, voice booming. They are a force of nature. We are witnessing evolution in motion. They are unstoppable because we do not know their limits. Across the Outer Rim, humanity's phase-shifted vessels glimmered in hiding. Captain Alric watched the chaos from the command chair of his flagship, a vessel older than some of the Empire's oldest star systems. Around him floated dozens of other human ships, camouflaged, phased, and silent. Each one carried weapons older than the fleets the Empire had poured centuries into constructing, systems designed to endure supernovae, slip through wormholes, and survive the vacuum of black holes. His tactical officer, a wiry woman with scars crisscrossing her arms, leaned over a console. They're sending probe fleets. Small, cautious. They think we're limited to this system. Good, Alaric said, a smirk tugging at his lips. Let them think they understand. Let them believe they're safe. Safety is what kills the slowest prey. Back on the Imperial Council floor, Rixal's multi-lensed eyes glinted. "Prepare countermeasures Gamma," he ordered. "We will hunt them down. Use the gravimetric nets, the phased interceptors, the entire Outer Rim Armada. If we cannot destroy them, we will contain them." An advisor leaned closer, whispering, "Containment is unlikely, Admiral. They anticipate us before we even move. Their movements, they are thinking several steps ahead, almost as if they know our strategy before we do." Rixal's claws tapped the council podium with mounting frustration. "Then we adapt. We evolve. Humans think themselves clever, but cleverness is not enough. Precision is not enough. I will not allow them to dictate the terms of this war." The first Imperial cruiser sent to investigate the distant signals never returned. Its transponder went silent mid-jump, replaced by a brief, chilling message. "You are late." The room fell silent. The words reverberated in every mind like a drumbeat of doom. Humans were no longer attacking, they were asserting dominance, demonstrating capability, and humiliating the Empire's assumptions. Entire systems trembled at the simplicity of the message. Humans arrived, humans destroyed, humans endured. Meanwhile, humanity's hidden fleet prepared its next move. Alaric's tactical officer pointed at a holographic map of the Empire's outer rim. "Phase 2 begins in 24 minutes, she said. "We can strike their primary supply lines, and no one will know who did it until the damage is done." Alaric's grin widened. "Perfect. Let them panic. Let them fight among themselves. They'll see ghosts of humans everywhere, and the chaos will do half our work for us." The first strike was surgical. Entire cargo convoys disappeared overnight, consumed by phased microsingularity weapons that left no trace of explosion, no debris, no survivors. Imperial intelligence scrambled to explain the vanishings. Nothing fit their models. Every fleet dispatched to intercept returned damaged, humiliated, or missing entirely. Rixal, staring at the reports, realized the unthinkable. "They're teaching us what fear feels like," he muttered, a rare note of admiration creeping into his voice. The Empire's greatest tacticians and mathematicians could not predict human movements. Every engagement left humans intact, efficient, and cruelly precise. They were not reckless, they were methodical in unpredictability. On the bridge of Alaric's flagship, the captain leaned back, hands steepled. "The Empire thinks this is war," he murmured. "It is not. It is a lesson in humility. They underestimated us. They thought we were weak. And every empire in history pays for that mistake." An engineer, hair singed from a plasma conduit, added with dark humor, "I like it when they panic. Makes the next boarding action more fun." Alaric laughed softly. "Fun, yes. But remember, precision first, theatrics second. They will remember the theatrics, but the precision is the lesson they won't see coming." Then came the most devastating reveal. Sensors on the human flagship detected the Empire's attempt to rally a new fleet at the edge of the system. What the Empire didn't know was that the humans had preserved vessels older than the Empire itself, warships from the First Age, relics designed for survival, combat, and unthinkable feats. Every one cloaked in phase shielding, every one capable of decimating modern cruisers in a single strike. Rixal received fragmented reports of these ships, impossible to reconcile. They survived the first wars?" he whispered. "The humans, ancient vessels, and they are using them?" "Yes, Admiral," the officer replied, voice trembling. "They were hiding them. Waiting. Watching. Learning. And now, they strike." By the time the Empire could organize a counterattack, humans had already disappeared from orbital scans, slipping into hyperspace corridors no one else could navigate safely. Ships that should have intercepted them arrived only to find empty systems, damaged supply lines, and a single message scrawled across the Empire's comm networks. "You waited too long." Rixal slammed his claws into the floor. "We are not ready," he admitted aloud, though no one else dared say it. "And humanity is beyond readiness. They are the storm no strategy can stop." Alaric's voice echoed through his ship, calm, confident, almost playful. They think they can chase us. They think they can predict us. Let them. Every misstep they make feeds the next wave. Every panic fuels the fire of what comes next. And when they finally face us, they will understand what humans truly are. The Empire reeled, scrambling to comprehend the scale of human ingenuity. Supply lines vaporized. Communications corrupted. Systems left vulnerable. And all the while, the humans remained unseen, untouchable, precise as clockwork. Even the galaxy's historians would later call it impossible. Entire fleets wiped out without a trace. Worlds spared at whim. Messages that burned into Imperial consciousness. Humans had arrived, and they were not merely warriors. They were the embodiment of chaos, intelligence, and sheer, terrifying audacity. For Rexal and his council, the only certainty was this: humanity was no longer just a threat. Humanity was a revelation. The kind of force that could topple empires without appearing to fight at all. And somewhere, in the darkness between stars, the humans laughed. They always had. And they always would. The Empyrean Empire was in chaos. Entire fleets had been shattered, supply lines obliterated, and orbital defenses rendered useless. Yet even amidst the wreckage, the Empire's pride fumed. Humanity had struck first, but the Council believed they could fight back. They didn't yet understand. Humans weren't here to fight conventionally. They were here to redefine the rules of war. Admiral Rexal paced the council chamber, his segmented mandibles clicking like a metronome of fury. "We must retaliate," he growled. "We must show them that the Empire cannot be humiliated." "You cannot retaliate against a ghost," whispered a terrified officer, shivering. "We've dispatched fleets, dozens of them, and yet nothing. They appear where we are not, strike where we are weak, and vanish again." Rexal clenched his claws, furious. The humans weren't just unpredictable, they were untouchable. And every failure gnawed at the pride of an empire accustomed to unquestioned dominance. Meanwhile, humanity's fleet moved like shadows across the outer rim. Captain Alaric's flagship glided through a dead sector, ancient vessels flanking it, phased and silent, ready to unleash devastation. "They think this is war," he said to his tactical officer, eyes sharp, calculating. "It is not. This is revelation. Every strike, every ghost fleet, every vanished convoy teaches them one thing: underestimate humans at your peril." The tactical officer's fingers danced across her console. "We've mapped the Empire's panic. They're fracturing command. Factions turning on each other. Supply networks corrupted. Phase 2 is set. Shall we initiate?" Alaric's grin was slow, deliberate. "Initiate. Let the Empire collapse under its own hubris. And let them remember, when humans arrive, the universe itself pays attention." The first target was a critical fuel depot on Mortis 9. It was heavily fortified, defended by dozens of cruisers and automated turrets. By all conventional measures, it was a fortress, impenetrable. But humanity did not attack conventionally. The flagship released a wave of adaptive drones, each one capable of phasing through shields and dissolving hull plating molecule by molecule. The depot's defenses tried to respond, but by the time the first beams hit the human vessel, the drones had already infiltrated every critical system. Reactors exploded silently, fuel tanks vaporized, and the depot became a ghost world overnight. Not a single human casualty. Not a single civilian harmed. Alaric's crews celebrated quietly. Engineers high-fived mid-conduit, gunners recalibrated weapons for the next strike, and tactical officers predicted the Empire's panic moves before they even transmitted orders. The humans were not soldiers. They were a perfect storm of intelligence, chaos, and dark humor. Across the Empire, the news spread. Entire sectors went dark. Supply lines disappeared. Communications were shredded. Fleets deployed to intercept vanished without a trace. And in every case, a single phrase was broadcast, chilling in its simplicity. "You waited too long." The council convened again, this time with desperation replacing outrage. "They cannot be contained," Rexal admitted aloud, a note of rare humility in his voice. They have outmaneuvered us at every turn. They are beyond our understanding. The humans are no longer a threat, they are a revelation. And we are irrelevant unless we adapt immediately. Yet even in their panic, the Empire could not fully grasp the truth. Humanity was not interested in conquest for glory or empire. Their strikes were precise, surgical, and almost cruelly elegant. They did not destroy worlds indiscriminately. They dismantled systems, neutralized threats, and taught the galaxy a lesson in humility and audacity. Alaric watched the unfolding chaos from his flagship. They think survival depends on fleets and weapons, he said quietly. They are wrong. Survival depends on adaptability, cunning, and daring. They have forgotten the old lessons. We will remind them. Next came the liberation of HFY-7. Humans did not invade, they liberated. Imperial garrisons surrendered almost immediately, bewildered by the disappearance of reinforcements, the sudden collapse of command, and the precision strikes on key assets. Civilians, once treated as resources, were left unharmed. Alaric addressed them through holographic broadcasts. You have been trapped by Empire, governed by fear. We have arrived to show that freedom is not given, it is earned. Stand, rebuild, and remember, humans are not here to rule you. We are here to remind you what it feels like to breathe without chains. Across the council chambers, Rixal and his officers absorbed reports with disbelief. Entire systems had been won without a single conventional battle. Humans had turned war into an art of intimidation, precision, and moral authority. And yet the final twist was still to come. Hidden in the shadows of distant moons and asteroid fields, ancient human warships, older than the Empire itself, activated in unison. Their phased engines rippled reality, appearing in multiple locations simultaneously. The Empire's fleets scrambled to respond, but the humans had already predicted every countermeasure. Every attempt at retaliation collapsed under the weight of superior strategy and foresight. Rixala's voice, usually commanding and fierce, trembled slightly as he observed the reports. They are everywhere. We cannot fight them. We cannot contain them. And yet, they are not killing indiscriminately. They are teaching, punishing, and reminding us of our arrogance. Alaric's crew prepared for the final demonstration. Ships emerged from phasing drives near key Imperial command centers. Communications were hijacked, war councils disrupted, fleets stranded in mid-jump. Imperial soldiers, seasoned veterans of countless wars, could only stare in disbelief as humans dismantled the machinery of Empire with surgical precision. And then the message came, broadcast to every surviving vessel, every command hub, every corner of the Empire. We do not conquer. We correct. Humanity is here. Adapt or perish. Rixal slammed his claws on the table, fury mingled with awe. He had fought countless enemies in decades of service, yet never one like this. Humanity was not merely a threat, they were a force of nature, unpredictable, unstoppable, and morally complex. They were cruel and merciful, precise and audacious, terrifying and strangely principled. On the human flagship, Alaric reclined, a faint smile on his face. Phase 3, optional, he said. They will remember Phase 1 and 2 for generations. Phase 3 is not needed. The lesson has been taught. And yet, a tactical officer looked up. Shall we strike their final reserves? No, Alaric said softly. Let them rebuild. Let them rethink. Let the galaxy understand that humans are not the ones who start wars. They are the ones the universe never forgets. The Empire's council, broken and battered, finally understood the truth. Humans were not predictable, not conquerable, not weak. They were a revelation, a storm that reshaped everything in its path. And the galaxy would never, ever be the same. Rixal, staring at the void where humans had disappeared once more, muttered under his breath. They are not just warriors, they are humanity. And they are unstoppable. Somewhere, in the darkness between stars, Alaric and his fleet vanished again, leaving only silence, fear, and the knowledge that the first encounter was a warning, the beginning of a legacy. that no empire could contain. Humanity had arrived, unbound, unpredictable, and forever unforgettable.